Welcome. I'm your host, Jeff Bell. You've tuned into The Story Behind the Glory, a weekly talk show. In the pursuit of excellence as in any endeavor in life, a fingerprint of struggles, disappointments, despair, thrills, and victories are often created. But do we ever get to know the real story behind the fame of celebrities, athletes, movie stars, politicians, and others? Well, this show, The Story Behind the Glory, provides a format for celebrities to share their story. Although I personally know many of our guests and have spent years developing friendships with them, like you at home, I have yet to hear their story. So would you please join me as I welcome our guest, Miss Leah O'Brien Amigo.
Thank you so much.
Leah, welcome to The Story Behind the Glory.
Thank you.
My gosh, thank you for coming. I know you're very busy. And a 3-time Olympian.
Yes.
Gold medal as well?
Yes.
Tell me about that. When, where, and how. I want to hear this.
So I was in 3 Olympics. I actually brought my Olympic gold medals with me. My first.
Now, are these real? That's a joke. That's a joke.
That's the number one question I get asked, though. Are these real gold? And I tell everybody they're gold-plated. They're real gold, but it's gold-plated. They're silver underneath.
This is Atlanta, 1996.
Yeah, so that was my first ever Olympics. I was still in college playing at the University of Arizona. I took a year off to go compete with Team USA and brought home a gold medal and went back and finished my senior year.
Wow.
And 4 years later, I was able to make the 2000 Olympic team. We had traveled to Sydney, Australia.
Oh, Sydney, Australia. Wow, I remember that Olympics.
And this Olympics was this medal is a softer gold, 28 karat, so it's more scratched up. It's actually dented, but it's fitting because we lost 3 games in this Olympics, and we're on the verge of going home with nothing, even though we were gold medal champions.
You lost 3 games?
We did, and we came back to beat an undefeated Japan to bring home the gold medal, and just awesome to win that Olympics. And then 4 years later, I actually had been married between the first 2 Olympics. I had my son, Jake, right after the 2000 Olympics, had him in 01. And I was fortunate to play my final Olympics at the age of 29 in Athens, Greece, where the Olympics began.
Wow, let me see this. This is beautiful. Athens, Greece. Can we get a good shot of this, close-up of this, guys? This is great. Okay, tell us, which position did you play on the women's softball team?
So I grew up as a pitcher. I'm a lefty, pitcher and a first baseman. Okay. But we tell everybody, if you can hit, coach is going to find a place for you.
Okay. So the fundamental thing is hitting. Okay.
It is, but I got to University of Arizona actually as a pitcher. The plan was to move me to first base. My sophomore year, I ended up in the outfield. The cool part about that, and I tell a lot of young athletes, is just go with the flow and be the best wherever coach puts you, because it was actually being an outfielder for 2 years that led me and gave me a spot on the Olympic team. So on the USA team, I actually played right field in the first 2 Olympics, and I went back to first base my last Olympics.
Wow, that's amazing. Leah, how many players are there chosen to participate in the Olympics?
15 women total.
15. Now there are only 9, right? There are only 9 in the field at any given time?
9 on the field, and so I tell people you might have somebody hitting, so there's at least a minimum of 5 people, and if the pitcher's hitting, then there's 6 on the bench. 6 of the best players in the entire world are having to put some time on that bench. So it was definitely something that you made each other better, and everybody bought into that team goal. We are there for one purpose. It's to bring home the gold for the United States of America.
I love that. May I ask you this question? And that is, have you ever sat on a bench?
Yes, and so this is another thing I tell people. My first Olympics, 21 years old, I was splitting time with another right fielder. She was one of the leading hitters on our team. And so championship game, gold medal game, I'm in the dugout. And I tell people I was losing my voice to scream and cheer on our teammates. And in that dog pile, I was every bit a part of that gold medal as I was the other 2 when I was starting in the championship game.
So what attributes do you contribute to your success on the road to becoming an Olympian?
I tell people,
if you could name 3, for example.
First and foremost, for me personally, because I played with the most talented athletes in the world. And I had talent, obviously, but for me, I believe my passion was higher than my talent.
Passion.
And that was what led me to the training, the level that it took, the pushing myself beyond what I thought I could accomplish.
It's your passion.
Being coachable, because I was very much someone who wanted to know, to reach that elite level, it's about the tiniest things.
So it's not the ego. You hear a lot of times these guys, NBA players and others, with the ego issues. So you're saying being coachable.
Yeah, absolutely. And then lastly for me, I just think that competitiveness. Because when you get on that field, you could be the best athlete and you can be passionate about the game, but there's got to be that fire in you that no matter what, even if you're having your worst day, you're going to battle and find a way to win.
So you come to win. You didn't come to play. Yes. You come to win, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Okay, now let's go back to before you got to the Olympics. Let's go back to the University of Arizona Wildcats. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you were an All-American academics as well?
Yes. So
tell me about that.
3 out of my 4 years, my sophomore, junior, and senior years, I was named first team All-American for what I did athletically on the field, as well as first team academic All-American to where they take the athletes who they feel play at the highest level, but then also academically are reaching the higher standards. And so I was shocked. Every year, I'm pretty hard on myself. And Coach never let us look at our numbers, and I never felt like I deserved those awards. But I would do everything I could to leave it on the field. And when those awards came after the fact, I was stunned. And what I tell people is that hard work will always find results.
Right, I agree with you. You know, but what the irony here is that you often hear that athletes perhaps may not be the brightest academically.
Yes.
And oftentimes you also hear that perhaps they may have tutors, additional tutors, and someone taking tests for them. But you were an academic all-star, basically an all-star. You recognize as an all-star, academically and as a professional, actually as an amateur softball player then, and as an Olympian. So what kept you going when you felt like quitting? Or do you ever get a point sometime, you know, when you got the best women girls that are playing in the world, basically. So what kept you going when perhaps you had to sit on the bench or you didn't want to do what you wanted to do?
Oh, I had a number of moments like that. I think most people do and most athletes do. And when you're not playing well, and especially in school, I could say, well, at least school's going well if I'm having a bad day on the field. But when you're on the USA team, I mean, that's why you're there. This is your job. And so those moments were hard to go into a slump and to think, you know, this superstar over here is just hitting home run after home run. Over here, she just puts the ball on the ground and she's safe every time. What am I doing? Right. I'm not doing that. And so those moments of doubt absolutely creep in. Those moments sometimes of am I really cut out? Can I continue? After having my son, I had my son and kept playing. Well, then it's like, well, these younger athletes, they've played 60 games this year. I don't have any under my belt. Can I keep up with them? Those moments. But I think the key is to go back to why are you doing what you're doing? And for me, it was because, you know what? I know what it takes to win a gold medal. Yes. I might be having a bad day, but the experience I bring, the knowledge I bring to it, the leadership I bring to this team at this point, that's important, as well as the voices that you surround yourself with, the people that support you. And that's the stuff that I needed. We need
who's your support? Who will your support team consist of?
So besides my players, right, those people were the voice of reason. We picked each other up when someone else was down. My family. My mom especially was probably my biggest fan and biggest supporter. Someone that I could count on from when I was young, when I was 14 years old, competing in a national championship in my age group, to where college, I'm thinking, can I compete at this level? Do I deserve to be here? To now on the Olympic team, that same voice. Let's go back to when you were 14 or even younger. Did you think about becoming an Olympian? No, because
well, what happened?
Softball wasn't in the Olympics as a little girl. I mean, I was that little girl who probably, like most little girls, were watching gymnastics in the Olympics. Well, I can't even do, like, you know, a backbend or a cartwheel.
Well, nor can I, so don't feel bad.
But as little girls, that's what you look up to, whatever you see on TV. Softball wasn't in the Olympic Games. So softball for me, when I was about 14 years old, became the goal was to go to college and get a scholarship because I liked this sport. There was talent in it. And if I did well in school, that could kind of be the means to the end. I had no idea that once I got to college, softball would be added my senior year to the Olympics for the first time ever. Many women who played before me never had that opportunity. I came at just the right time, and the doors of opportunity would just fly open after that.
Well, I think that's the epitome of what you often hear is that, I mean, success equal to prepared person, right? When you're prepared, the opportunity often comes. But let's get back to when you were 14. Did you play on a little league, or how do you develop your talent? How did you become so good?
So I started just as a little girl in Chino youth softball, you know, and
Chino, okay.
Yeah, I grew up in this little town,
Small
and
town.
just, I mean, I was that kid that you would see parents be working the snack bar in between games, and we're over there playing pickle and going to a friend's house and spend the night, and we're, you know, throwing balls against the garage. I mean, I just loved it. I loved competing. I loved playing, and so I made all-stars. That kind of got me excited and competitive, right? We're winning these big trophies. And so when I was 13 years old was when I entered club, which is considered travel ball for softball. And when I was 14, I was a winning pitcher in nationals, 52 teams from all over the U.S., and our team took home first place.
That's impressive. That's very, very, very impressive. We need to take a commercial break, but you hold on, hold that thought. We're going to go just a little bit deeper into some of the other things that Leo has done. I'm your host, Jeff Bell. This is the story behind the glory. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. I'm your host, Jeff Bell. This is the story behind the glory. Before the commercial break, I was visiting with Leah about some of the mentors and individuals who have been of inspiration in her life. Leah, I think you had mentioned your mother and some others been very inspirational. Tell me some other mentors that you've been who've been very instrumental in your life.
Well, I was just so fortunate to be one of those athletes who played for coaches who were very good at pulling out the best, because there's different personalities out there, different styles, and I had those coaches who were real encouragers. And they saw my potential, and they knew I was coachable, and that idea was they still set the bar high. So I think of my first travel ball coach and just what he taught me, and it kind of took me to another level. I think of my pitching coach, who I started going to kind of later in high school, who was also the same pitching coach for the great Lisa Fernandez, truly probably the greatest softball player to ever play around the world ever in our sport, who I won 3 gold medals with. And so I think of what he taught me, and just again that encouragement, and it just brought something out that I don't even think I saw myself the way that they did. And then truly probably the greatest mentor I would say is my college coach, Mike Candrea, who also coached me in my final Olympics. And this man,
boy, I bet that was the story. I mean, that was to have your college coach you in the Olympics. That's boy.
He truly, like
that took divine intervention, right?
Absolutely.
Was that divine intervention?
I'm so fortunate he had that opportunity, because I won 3 national championships underneath him. But there's so much more that you take away. I mean, this man is like a father to me. He is somebody who doesn't let you get too low, but he won't let you get too high either. He's going to keep you humble, and he's going to push you and just draw out the greatest. He was someone that all he had to say was, I believe in you, and I would have run through a wall. I mean, in fact, I think back, and when he would be yelling at our team after a game, as soon as he was done, I'd say, can we go play again right now? He pulled out the best. I
think it takes a special coach to do that, but also it takes a special person like yourself, obviously, to recognize that and to be teachable. Again, having that sense of humility and sense of awareness. This is what I need to help me become what I need to become.
Absolutely.
So, Leo, you're telling me this accolade is true, which excuse me, this phrase I've often heard is, well, you play the way you practice. Does that have some truth to it?
Yes, it is. And my coach would say it like this. He said, you want to learn to practice like you're competing and compete like you're practicing.
That's a step farther.
Because a lot of people, they go and practice.
Would you say that again, please, to our audience? I like that. Would you mind stating that again? He says
you want to practice like you're competing. So you want pressure.
You practice like you're competing.
You want to feel like there's a lot at stake, because that's what competition brings. But if you're just practicing and going through the motions, everybody can do that with no pressure.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely.
And so when you compete, you want to compete like you're practicing. Well, everybody's relaxed in practice.
Right. It's just, yeah, I love that. I love that philosophy.
And
That
that's
is
what
so great.
my coach, Candrea from Olympics in college, he said, if you saw Leah, you saw the exact same thing. You weren't sure if she was practicing or competing.
Wow, you're such a dynamic person. I can talk. I mean, guys, don't you really love this? I love just visiting with her. Okay, let's go from the Olympics to today. Or, well, what happened after the Olympics, rather?
So I
Career.
finished my career. I had my son, like I said. My husband and I got married, and
You have
had
3
my
kids, right?
son,
3
and now I
kids?
have 3 boys.
3
But
boys, okay.
when I won my 3rd gold medal, I was a mom of my oldest son, Jake, and I wanted more kids. And when you're an Olympian, you got to wait 4 years to have
right.
another
Yes.
child. So I ended up having 2.
It's discipline. It's discipline.
2 more boys are sacrifices, right? So I had 2 more sons in 05 and 07. And then I coached high school ball during that time. So in fact, my youngest was born during softball season, and had a game, had him the next day, and I was out at practice 5 days later. So
Wow.
you keep going. So I coached high school ball a little bit, and then that led to some other opportunities with doing some work with ESPN.
ESPN, that's right. You were a
commentating.
commentator on ESPN. Did you enjoy that?
Yes, I still do a little bit postseason for collegiate softball, as well as I do the Women's College World Series. I do radio for the finals for Westwood One. So there's just been some opportunities to still share my knowledge of the
right? So you
game.
got into broadcasting.
Different broadcasting and being able to see the game from a different perspective and offer the knowledge that I have from, I watch these athletes and they're in the same position that I got to play in the championship game all 4 years in college. I mean, we got second place one of those years, but
well, that's
every
humbling,
year we were
but
there.
it's real, right? You get
Yes.
second place. It's not bad most days. Let me ask you, now, are you in contact with some of the players whom you played with?
Yes, a lot of us do softball clinics together around the
clinics
country.
together. Okay, so
we
you've
now
done those
share our
things.
knowledge. I talk to the girls on a regular basis. A few weeks ago, I was out at a huge collegiate softball tournament. A lot of my teammates are head coaches of top programs in this country now. So I am very connected with almost all of these girls still at this point.
Very, very, very impressive. Let me ask you, now, I understand you also were on a television show, a talk show once or twice that you hosted. Is that correct?
I was one of 3 hosts for a show called More Than Conquerors on
More Than Conquerors.
Trinity Broadcasting Network years ago. The other hosts were AC Green of the
Oh,
Lakers.
AC Green, the Lakers, the forward for the Lakers, yes.
And Frank Pastore, who was a Cincinnati Reds pitcher and a radio host for a Christian radio station.
How did you enjoy that?
I loved it. I have to say, though, when they first interviewed me after winning my gold medal, it was really fun. And then they said, hey, we'd love to, have you come and be a host. And I'll never forget sitting in the parking lot that first day.
Oh.
And before I went in thinking, what am I doing here?
Right. Okay, this is a long way from the softball field,
I
right?
can't
All
do
of a
this.
sudden.
But you know what? After being with those 2 amazing men that had so much wisdom and knowledge and personality, I just realized at the end of the day that every person brings something different to the table. And I'm a mom, I'm a female athlete, and we just got to share our different perspectives on things, and so they made it very comfortable, and it was very enjoyable.
That's always helpful. That's always helpful. And I think one of the things you mentioned is very critical, and that is gaining the wisdom from others around you and using that to improve yourself, give some degree of confidence. Leah, let's get a little bit into if you had to do this all over again, okay, what is something you would do differently?
Oh.
Anything differently? Just think about it for a second.
That's a really hard question, but I really don't think I would.
Would do anything different? Okay.
No,
That's
I
fair.
don't
That's
think
fair.
I
That's
would,
fair.
because I don't think I could have chosen the path that I believe God set before me. I feel like with the talent I had and the passion that I was able at each step to be able to achieve because of the people around me. I have the entire process been around the most amazing coaches and teammates, and therefore that has brought out the best in me. I'm forever grateful for those lessons that I've learned, and I don't think I would change anything.
Well, let's pivot just a little bit. You're familiar with that term. When others, looking down the road 10 years from now, when others think of Leah, what do you think would come to mind? When others think of you 10 years from now, and they look back, I'll make it a little bit easier. When I was thinking of you, what would you hope they would think? Well, what do you hope they would think? What phrase come to mind?
I would hope that they would say she is genuine.
I love that.
She's real. She's passionate, because I love people. I loved what I got to do on the softball field.
I can tell.
I love people, and I love getting to know their stories.
Good. I love that.
And am grateful for when I get to share mine as well, and just relate to people.
Well, you do have a very great story. I mean, a great story. I really, really enjoy. By the way, if others wanted to contact you, how would you recommend they contact you?
The best way is probably through my website, www.leah20 They can email me there and contact me, as well as social media. Leah20USA is my Twitter handle, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram, so they can check me out at any of those places.
Great, great. Well, it's been my pleasure. It's been very my pleasure, and the audience, I'm sure, loved every bit. I love this. I'd love to have you back as well. So thank you very much, Miss Leah O'Brien Amico.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Jeff Bell. Until next time, God bless.